You know what I can't understand? God sat around here and made all of these different ethnic groups, and then we make it holy to ignore it all. You know, really. You know, to me it's a type of blasphemy. You know, you made all these colors, but you know, well, let's forget about all of this. Identity is based on some degree of what? Similarity. Individual interests are protected by social organization. And on some level, some group, even if they're within the same ethnic group, find some basis for similarity and some basis on which to organize as a group to protect their interests. But what they're trying to tell you is to lose any basis and foundation for connecting with anybody. But that's not the way the real world operates at all. Not at all. And now what do we have going over here? The European system is in disarray. East Germany is soaking up the wealth of West Germany. And so the Russian Empire is collapsing. And what do you see coming out of here? An intense increase in what? Racism in Europe. An increase of racism over the world, ladies and gentlemen, because as the pie shrinks, as the possibilities shrink, people will tend to move in terms of their ethnicity and operate based on their ethnicity. I told people years ago that integration in America could only work in an expanding economy. It's not moral, people holding hands. It's about what? An expanding economy. We got a lot of jobs, we'll let you have a few. We'll bring you up. We don't have any jobs, we're going to cut you out. I told you before, ain't no book, ain't no law in the book, civil rights law in the book or in the Constitution is going to make a white man feed your child before he feeds his own. I don't care how many books you got or laws you got or whatever you got. In the end, they're not going to feed your children before they feed their own. Only sick Negroes feed other people's children before they feed their own. Yeah, this is the thing. And so as this shrinks, other groups are going to get a part of this pie. And you're going to have to face the fact then that as you lose these jobs out of industries, and this is a lot of why the violence is going on, Detroit being completely de-industrialized almost, you see, and as these opportunities shrink, what other groups do is bump down. You see, they bump other groups out and begin to do what? Take their place to maintain their survival. You see, the days during which the men and women in Detroit could go to Ford and make a lot of money, go to GM and make a lot of money, go to the steel mills and all those, make a lot of money. In a sense, it didn't matter to them if those other people owned the little shops and the little stores and the little this, the little that. They were doing quite well. You know, so what? I'm making big money. I'm living well. But now what happens now that those things have what? Disappeared. Something has got to move. Either you're going to say, well, I'll just be nice and kind and die and starve out here or rob and kill, or what? I've got to what? Get control of the assets, what? That I have what? Left. You see? And you have to tell the others, no personal feelings, you know. I have anything against you, but I got to feed my children. I got to clothe my children. I got to take care of them. But you don't have anything against that, do you? That's what you told me you were doing in the neighborhood, right? That you were only taking care of your kids, right? What does this mean then in the long run, ladies and gentlemen? That we as African people, given the deep restructuring that is going on in the world, are going to have to find another economic way out. We are going to have to create jobs. We're going to have to create an economic system. We're going to have to employ ourselves and create means of taking care of our people. That means then that we are going to first have to capture our economic infrastructure from other groups. Number one, because you must accumulate capital. And you must withdraw as much as possible of your capital from others in order to use it for yourself. And this goes on with groups all the time. Reagan did it. Reagan did it. Why do you think the poor got poorer and the rich got richer? They ran a game called supply side economics, which meant that if you give the people who have money more money, they will take the money and invest it and build factories and hire the people who don't. But we would put in a trick. Well, that's the supply side, you see. In other words, give it to people who got it and they will invest it and create more. But it didn't work out that way, did it? So the laws were changed and the system was restructured. This is what you call cutting. When jobs are cut or when programs are cut, this isn't just a cutting. This means money is being what? Transferred. It is being moved from one group or one set into the hands of other set. So this is what you call capital accumulation. The money that was once going to the poor and so forth now is redistributed it to the wealthy. Now the wealthy in their gracious manner were supposed to invest it and create jobs, but that wasn't what happened. They played shell games with each other and created paper wealth and so forth, and then sold the companies off and shipped the stuff out and became international citizens and left us in the lurch. Even the white is in the lurch. Everybody's in the lurch here, see? Now the black community then must accumulate capital so that it can invest in its own infrastructure, which means then it must redistribute its money and its wealth. It must take the money back and reduce the flow of money outward to other groups, accumulate it in itself, and invest it in itself so that it can create abundance for itself. The black community now must not lament being in the diaspora, but really see the diaspora as your most powerful economic instrument. You see, while we complain about global white supremacy and we complain about white imperialism, you must also recognize that white imperialism was in effect too a white diaspora. Am I getting through? In other words, it also spread white folk where? Around the world. It wasn't just a colonizing of African people. You had colonizers. And the colonizers came to what? Live in all major areas and cities and places around the world. Using their ethnicity, they created lines of what? Communications all around the world. They built what? Commercial what? Networks all around the world, huh? They traded with each other, what? All around the world. You understand what I'm saying? So they scattered around the world, but in maintaining their ethnic identity and interests, they were able to create a global economic, political, and military system. Am I getting through to you? I know I'm keeping you a little late, but I just want to talk to you a little bit. Now then, and this is happening to the Japanese, and this is happening to Koreans and others. As they move into a global market, they disperse what? Globally. And they maintain, and they have their what? Center cities, central banking areas, and all of these means by which they maintain a global system, you see. Now, African Americans, you have great possibilities here, you see. We are spread from one end of America to the other. We're in all of its major cities. We already have national networks set up right now in the names of churches and organizations. And again, looking at the Nation of Islam and other groups. And so you have already national what? Administrative networks. But you see, when you think of, until you think of nation, you can't use them, see? But when you begin to recognize, you should look then at the possibility of developing trade networks across this country, of developing and setting up a distribution system across this country. We should make all of these supermarkets and others make room on their shelves for black manufactured products. Because now once you got a distribution network set up, and you have markets all across the country, you have a basis for manufacturing, you see, and distribution in the country. If you organize these things now, you can deal with the Caribbean